Hello everyone, this is Andre from TwistedReality.tv. This is a quick start guide to get you going on the Minecraft Gear VR edition. The main menu is fairly simple with the play button, the skins, and the option button. There's also the language option on the bottom right. In the skin option, you already have a few skins unlocked, so basic skins and skin packs. You can buy the skins packs from $1.99 to $2.99 depending on the content. You can also import custom skins the way you did with the Pocket Edition. So you just have to download the skins from Google, just do a Minecraft Pocket Edition skins, and it's pretty straightforward. You choose the skin from the menu and you import it in the game. So when you click on New World, you've got the New World option where you can name your world. You can choose either survival or creative. You can add a server, or you can go to the Advanced option that lets you input a seed number, choose the world size from old, which is quite small, infinite, which is quite huge, and flat with nothing at all. Then you choose survival, creative, and you create your world. But for now, let's just go into the play option. You'll be greeted with 3 tabs: the Worlds, Realms, and Friends tab. The Friends tab is the online servers. Although it's working right now, you'll have a pretty hard time finding a compatible server since the version is quite new. But I did manage to find a working server. The Realms tab is coming soon, so I'm gonna skip that, and there's the the Worlds tab, which manage all your worlds that you've created. So the first thing you're gonna see, it's gonna ask you if you want to go to the VR controls or the classic controls. The difference between the two is the VR controls help you if you have motion sickness. Turning with the controller will do it by clicks instead of a smooth motion from left to right. As you can see right now, the game puts you inside a virtual living room. But don't worry, a simple tap on the Gear VR touchpad will put you right into the game. So you'll zoom in the TV and here you are. So the controls are pretty simple if you play the console version of Minecraft, or if you play the computer version with a controller. The controls are the same, so you'll jump right into the action. The creator has taken the time to put a lot of options that we'll see in a few seconds here. Some of the options are only for the virtual living room, as other will only work in the VR world. To access the option menu, simply press Start and select the options. On the first screen, you'll be able to set the volumes, set the difficulty of your game, and if you want to broadcast your game over your LAN and allow multiplayers. There's 3 other sections in the options menu. The second one is the controls, where you can configure the way the game plays. The first option, VR sensibility, lets you tweak the speed at which you turn with the analog controller. So now it's set at the fastest speed possible, so you can see how fast you can turn. Now let's go change that setting to the slowest speeds possible, so you can see the difference there. So here you can see that the turning speed is a lot slower. It's quite useful for those who suffer from motion sickness playing VR games. Personally, I found the most natural setting is between the two. So this setting will only affect turning with the analog stick. Of course, it won't change the way you turn with your head. So we're outside now, so you can enjoy the beautiful scenery here. There's a few more options to look at. So the next one is the Invert Y-Axis. It's a setting only used in the VR living room because you cannot look around with the head. So you use your analog stick. If you prefer to have it inverted, that's how you change it. Okay, so let's go back in VR mode because that's the way to play it. The next option is called the VR Auto Jump. This is an option that lets you jump ledges when you're going forward to them. So I'll deactivate it just to show you. If I go straight up to that ledge, I have to jump manually to go over. Again, I have to jump manually. If I go back, I jump manually. If I activate it, my character will automatically jump when I go in front of a ledge like that. So I'll just move straight up and it jumped automatically. It's working only if you have a certain angle, so if you're looking forward. If I'm trying to go backward and jump a ledge, it'll block, so I'll still have to do it manually. So here, I'm still jumping. I'll just go down and do it backward. As you can see, I'm not jumping. If I go backward, I have to do it manually. And the same thing goes if I start walking backward and turn my head around. Since the character is still walking on the other direction, it's not jumping automatically. There's also the keyboard and the gamepad layout, the controller layout. What you can do is actually set your keyboard, so you can play with the Bluetooth keyboard and remap all the buttons from your controller to best suit your needs. The next section is the graphical section, where you can change a few settings. The VR brightness lets you change the overall brightness of the game. So that doesn't change the VR unit or your phone brightness. It really does change the way the game is rendered. So let's just go somewhere else to show you the VR render distance. This changes how far your character can see. So if I put it in the lowest possible option here, you'll see that I don't quite see at the other side of the pond. And I can barely see beyond my little cabin there. So the options let me see a little farther. So in the second spot here, if I look around, now I see the whole cabin. I see a little tree there, and I see a sheep on the right. So I'll just look around again so you can see the difference in the depth. And the last one, so I can actually see beyond the pond and all the other way around. I went back inside for the next option. I'm not sure you'll be able to see the difference with the video, but the Textile Anti-Aliasing does exactly what Anti-Aliasing does. So it removes all the little pixel in the lines, the curved lines, to offer a smooth line that seems straight no matter the angle. So here, let me tweak around and look around. Maybe you'll be able to see the difference. It's not a huge one, but it does make everything look a little bit better. Let's step outside for a minute, where we're gonna tweak with the beautiful sky option. The thing is pretty simple. You either have sky or you don't. So if you remove the options, you'll see everything disappear above. And if you add it, you'll see clouds and the gray because it's raining. The last option is to hide the GUI or the graphical user interface. As you can see, it's experimental right now. So if I enable it, I don't have any more my toolbar, but I don't see my hands. I don't see what I'm having in my hand. So I changed it and I didn't know what I was. So it's experimental and it's not something you want to use unless you want to take screenshots. The last section of the options is dedicated to the VR experience and has 11 settings you can trigger on and off. The first one, the VR controls, will trigger all the following up to 3D rendering. So I'll start by turning off the VR controls. So at the same time, I'll turn off everything that it affects. If I keep them on, that wouldn't change anything at all. So with the VR control turned off, it's pretty much a standard experience. As long as I move, my body stays in the same direction, so I can look around, and while I'm still pressing the up on the analog stick, I'm moving forward. As I stop moving, you see the HUD that is centering back. That's the new position of my body, and if I press up at that moment, that's the new direction I will go. So I'll trigger the VR controls here. With everything set to off, it doesn't change anything. I've just activated the other options that are turned off. So the first one I'm going to activate is the VR turning. It doesn't change anything in the way I move and look around. It's really when I try to turn with the analog stick. As you can see, it turns by clicks. It's a feature that most people with VR sickness wants to activate. If I remove it, as you can see, the turns are smooth. You won't be able to hear it, but the VR turn sound is a small sound that is played, a small tick every time I turn a little with my analog stick. That of course only works when VR turn is enabled. The VR turn by time is a mystery to me right now. I'm gonna go get more information, but I haven't been able to see a difference when I activated it with the different VR controls settings on and off. The next option is the VR steering. That's a nice feature that lets you steer as you look. Instead of looking around, your character will move into the direction you're looking even though you are running. So some people might prefer that play style. Gives you more freedom. If you do so, you might want to have a swivel chair to be able to go off full 360 degree. The next option is the 3D rendering. Turning it off will remove all 3D effects and flattens everything. That may seem to make no sense for a VR game, but it actually feels more natural when you're in the VR living room. But when you're inside the game, it's a feature you probably want to turn on because living in a 3D world without 3D is kind of weird. Next up is the linear jump and linear motion. Those two features, I'm not sure yet what it does. It does seem to change a bit the way you jump, but I really am not sure about that. One of the options that will help you out in the VR world is the sticky mining. So turning it off, you will be playing like the casual way. When you look around and you switch blocks, you have to restart everything. By turning it on, every time you start mining, it will stick to that block until you're done and will move to the next block. So here I can look around while I'm mining a block and it'll switch to the next block at the same time for a better control over what I'm doing. The last option is called the HUD drifts, so it was turned on as far as this video goes. I'm gonna turn it off and you'll see that now my HUD is following me right away instead of drifting away. So that's pretty much all there is to know about the Gear VR edition of Minecraft. So I think now it's time for you to pick up your Gear VR and jump in the fun.
Yeah.